Hey guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today we are going to be drafting this Milka top. So if you want to learn how to do this, keep on watching. So I'm using cardboard paper as my pattern paper, and the first thing we are going to do is to find the center line of this cardboard paper. This cardboard paper is 25 inches, so the center line is 12.5. So I am going to go ahead and mark that. Then you proceed to ruling it. Next thing we'll be doing is that we're going to come at the top here and mark our starting point, which is going to be 1 inch. Go ahead and rule that too. I will label it my starting point. Then I will indicate the front. This is the front pattern, and then this is the back pattern. I'll also indicate here, this is my center front. This is my side front. So at this starting point here, I'll go ahead and mark my shoulder measurement. My shoulder measurement is 16. Divided by 2 is going to give me 8. So from this shoulder point here, I want to come down by 1 inch. This is going to form our shoulder slope. So this is, you come down by 1 inch here. At the neckline, you are going to go in by 3.5. So from this 3.5, I will connect a straight line to our 1 inch shoulder slope. Do you understand? So this is our shoulder slope. Then from this point here, I want to get my round armhole. My round armhole is 19 inches. I'm going to go ahead and divide it by 2, which is going to give me 9.5. From this shoulder, the very beginning, you come down by 9.5. This is my 9.5. Sorry. This is my 9.5. So at this point I mark this. I am going to come here and get my shoulder, which is 8. This is it. So I know that this is where I am going to take this measurement on. So I am going to mark this line. Can you see? So I'll go ahead and draw a straight line here to form my armhole. At this point now, I'll take my vertical measurement. I'm going to get my bust length. My bust length is 11. Then I'm going to get my waist length. My waist length is 16. But because this is a crop top, is a crop top, I am going to use this whole cardboard as my full length, which is the same thing as my waist length.
I'm so sorry guys, at this point I didn't know that my camera was not in view. So what I was basically explaining is that we are marking our vertical measurement. So I'll go ahead and mark my mark my bust length, which is 11. You mark your under bust length, which is 14.5 for me. So you're going to determine where it is for you. Then you are going to mark your waist length. My waist length is 16, but because this is the crop top, I made I used the full length of the cardboard paper as the actual full length for the crop top, and that was 19 inches. So you go ahead and mark everything. Connect all the points and then label it.
Guys, the next thing we'll be doing is to mark our darts. And to do that, we are going to be using our bust band or nipple to nipple. My nipple to nipple is 9 inches. So I am going to mark 9 inches divided by 2, which is 4.5. So I'll mark it at my bust length, my under bust length, even the waist length, and also the full length, 4.5. If you are someone that you are slim, your bust point or nipple to nipple should be 7.5, 8 inches. So like try and measure yours. So I'm going to rule it together. So the next thing we're doing now is to impute our darts. So I hope you guys are seeing what I am doing now. At this waist length, I am going to go in by 1.5 to get my dart legs. Do you see? Now if your bust is from maybe 36 or 34 to like about 40, 1 inch across board is okay for you. Remember that I told you guys that my full length is also going to serve as my waist length because it's a crop top. So I'll come down here and replicate the same thing, 1.5 as our dart leg. So at this bust point here, I'll come down by 1 inch. It's from this 1 inch that I will now connect my dart lines from here to here, and then straight down to the full length that also serves as our waist length. So this is what we are having. So now we're going to proceed to create our armhole curve, and to do that I'm going to determine the center of this line that is here, and then once I get it, I'm going to mark a point there. So now I've marked a point here, I'll go in from here by 0.75 at a straight line, not at an angle, at a straight line. Then at this shoulder line here, I am going to divide my round bust by 4. My round bust is 43, but I love to use 44. So 44 divided by 4 is 11. I'll go ahead and mark down my 11 here. So now I've marked my 11 here, I am going to connect this point to this point, and then to this our 1 inch slope that is here, and this is going to form our armhole curve. The life of me, I can't find my curve ruler, so I'm using my hip curve to do this. So if you have your curve ruler, go ahead and connect it with it. Anything that is curvy will serve you well. Okay, so I'll just cover, smooth out here to give me a smoother finish, and this is my round armhole curve. The next thing I'll be doing is to come at this under bust and go up by 1.25. I'll connect this 1.25 from here to here with my curve ruler. Again, I'm using my hip curve. You don't necessarily have to use a curve ruler, do you get, to achieve this. So now I've connected this to this place. So I want us to come and mark the off shoulder of this Milka top. So I want you to look very carefully. So what am I even doing? Sorry guys. I want to get this marker, the green one, so that you can see the contrast. From here, this armhole curve that is here, you go up by 4.5 inches. Now before we even start here, let me explain to you. Because I am a plus size girl, I have busts, so I want my coverage to be tasteful. Do you understand? So I'm going to go up by 4.5 and mark it on this line. I'm using this line as the guide, and mark it on this our curved line. Note that if you are slim, bust 36, 38, 40, you can go up by 2.5. 2.5 is okay for you, or you can even do 3, or depending on how much coverage you want. So from this 4.5 now that I marked here, I'll go in by 1.25. Again, if you are on the slimmer side, 0.75 is even okay for you, but I'll go in by 1.25 on a straight line. And once I've gone in now, I am going to mark. I want to make sure this is on a straight line, because so it's on a straight line. At this point that will have our round bust divided by 4, I'll come down by 0.25. I'm trying to make sure that this cloth tightens me very well. So now I've done that, I'll also come here and mark that 0.25. Sorry, 0.5, not 0.25. 0.5, that's half an inch. Half an inch, guys, not 0.25. Half an inch, 0.50. At this point, I am going to go in by half an inch at this point. Now I've gone in by half an inch. I'll now use my curve ruler and connect from this 1.25 that we came out here. Remember, if you're a slimmer person, 0.75 is okay for you, and then we'll connect it to this 0.50. Why did I keep saying 0.25? 0.50, that's half an inch that is here. I'm trying to use this because I don't know where I kept my curved ruler. So this is our new line. What I will now do is that I will come and form the other side of my cup. This 050, that's half an inch that we did here. I'll come and connect this to this place to form my cup. This is not as curved, so I'm using freehand to curve it how I want. Do you see? So I'm going to be using this one. Please disregard this line. Okay, so at this point now, I'll go up by 4.5 inches. If you're a slim person, you can go up by 2 inches, 3 inches. It's all subjective how much cleavage or how modest you want your outfit to be. So now I'm going to connect this from this remember we went in here by 1.25, so I'll connect it to this place, and this is what we have. So what we are going to be doing next now is to impute our round measurements. Remember that at the chest line we did our round bust divided by 4, so we already have this here. So we'll come to the round under bust and do round under bust divided by 4. Mine is 32, divided by 4 is 8. So I'll mark my 8 inches here. I'll come here and calculate this dart space here. You know, we have to compensate for the dart that is here. So this is 2 inches. I'll go ahead and mark the 2 inches here. And this is our new measurement. So at the waistline, I'm going to get my waist, which is 30 inches divided by 4, 7.5. I'll mark my 7.5 here. Again, I'll come and compensate for this dart here. Our dart intake was 3 inches or is 3 inches. So I'll come here and mark my 3 inches. We already know that the measurement that is here is also the same thing that is here. So I'll replicate the same thing here. This is 7.5, right? This is 7.5. Then we'll add our dart back. So this is it. So I'll now go ahead and connect our bust measurement from here. This 025 that we...
God, I'm so sorry. I keep saying 025. No, we came down by 050, half an inch.
From here to our round under bust. Then from here to our waistline. And then here to the full length or the same waistline. So this is what I am having. So guys, what I want to do now is to go ahead and add my sewing allowance on this pattern already. So by the time I'm cutting it, I don't need to add any sewing allowance again. So I'll come here and add 1 inch as my sewing allowance all through. I'll add 1 inch also at the under bust length, and then I don't bother adding here because the waist length and the full length is the same. So I'll add 1 inch here also. So I am going to do the connection. So this is our 1 inch sewing allowance. I've already added my sewing allowance, so that is why I used my full length as 19. So I'll also come on top here and add sewing allowance as well, which is 1 inch. I'll also add 1 inch on top here. 1 inch, 1 inch, 1 inch. I'll take this up and then connect these lines together. So this is my sewing allowance. So when I'm going to cut this is how I'm going to cut it out. So let me also join this part as well. We are basically done, guys. So I'll move over to cut the back pattern. For the back measurement, I'll go ahead and replicate everything that we did for the front. And my vertical measurement, my round bust already know is 11, my waist length 14.5, my round under bust 14.5, my waist length 16, and then this is the full length. So I'll mark the same thing here again
Then connect everything.
So this is our center back, this is our side back. So I'll come and get my shoulder from this place. My shoulder is, remember, 16 divided by 2 is 8. I'll come down by 1 inch to get my shoulder slope. Then at the back, I am going to go in by 3.5 at the waist, at the neckline here, at the shoulder here. So from this 3.5, I am going to come down by this. I'll come down by 9.5 to get my round armhole. Sorry, this is 9.5. Get my round armhole. So at this point, I'll make sure that the thing is at the shoulder measurement, which is 8 inches. So this is where I am going to connect this. Guys, this is the same thing I've been doing ever since, honestly. This is basically the same thing I've been doing, so we did for the back, for the front side. I will label this the bust length, waist length, sorry, under bust length, waist length, and then full length. So the next thing we'll be doing is what we did in the front. I'll come and get the center of this shoulder line here, and then I'll indicate it at this point here. I'll go in by 050. Remember at the front side it went in by 075. So at this point I'm going in by 050. At this armhole line here, I am going to divide my round bust like we did in the front, divided by 4. My round bust is 44, divided by 4 is 11. So I am going to mark this here. I'll connect this to this line and then to this point. If you are using a curved ruler, you won't have had an issue with this. Do you get? I just curved it so that it's not a sharp point. So the next thing you want to do is just extend this armhole line, you know, for it to be on a straight line. Now I've extended it, I'm going to come and form my dart, and to do that we are doing our nipple to nipple, which is 4.5 for me. So this is 4.5. I am going to mark this 4.5 and then 4.5. So I'm going to rule this as a straight line and stop at this armhole curve line that is here. Can you see? So I'll take this 4.5 this way. So to create my dart here, I am going to go in and out by 1.5. Please, if you're a slimmer person, you can use 1 inch or even 0.75. But because I am a plus size girl, I'm using 1 inch, sorry, 1.5. Do you get to create my dart? So at this armhole line, I'm going to come down by 0.50 at this point. It is from this 0.50 that I'm going to connect to my dart lines here and here. So just like how we did for the front, I am going to get my off shoulder. Do you get? So I am going to go up at this armhole curve line by 4.5 like we did for the front. I'll go up by 4.5. From this place now, I will now go in by 1.25. If you are in a slimmer side, 0.75 is okay for you. I'll go in here by 1.25. So just like how we did in the front, we are going to come down here by 1/2 inch, which is 0.50, 1/2 inch, and then I'll mark this line here. I'll join this line here. Remember that the front part we went in, we had to go in by 1/2 inch here, but we're not going to be doing that. I'll just connect this line straight to meet here. You can decide to connect from this line and connect it to the chest line here. From this point here, you connect to the chest line here. Do you understand? But I want mine to be a whole lot deeper. So at this bust line, I'll go up by 1 inch. Do you understand? So that is now, I'll take this from here to this point here. If you want it to even be deeper, you can even connect this to your bust line, or you can do this way, or you can even do it straight this way if you don't want it that deep. Do you understand? So but me, I want mine to give some form of, you know, a fizzy at the back, so I'll connect it this way. I'll go ahead and use my hand and trace it like, and make it to look a bit curvier, you know, so it's not like a straight line. So now we are going to impute our round measurements. So at the bust line, I'm going to mark my round bust divided by 4, which is 11. Here I am going to mark the 11 here. So at the back here, there is a dart space here. Remember, for the front part there was no dart space here, but for the front there's a dart space here, so we're going to compensate for that, and mine is giving 0.50. So I'll come here and put that 0.50 here. Then for the round under bust, my round under bust is 8, so I'll go ahead and, so my round under bust is 32 divided by 4. I am having 8, so I'll go ahead and mark the 8 inches here. So I'll also compensate for this dart space here. What is here is 1.5, so I'll come here and mark 1.5. Then the same thing at the full length. The waistline, I don't have to bother because the waist length is the same thing as the full length. My full length, or rather my round waist is 30 divided by 4 is 7.5. So I'll go ahead and mark 7.5 here, and then I'm going to get my difference between my dart legs, and it's 3 inches. Remember our dart was, we went in 1.5 and 1.5 outward, so this is my point here. So I'm going to go ahead and roll this up here. So I'm going to connect this to our round under bust measurements here. I'll curve this way, and then to our full length, which is the same thing as our waist length. So this is what we are having for the back pattern. So I'll go ahead and add my sewing allowance, which is 1 inch. So at this point I'm going to mark 1 inch here. Let me use my blue marker. I'll mark 1 inch here. I'll come to the under bust length and mark 1 inch as well. At the full length, which is something as waist length, I'll mark 1 inch, and then I'll connect everything together. I will also be adding my sewing allowance at this neckline also, 1 inch, 1 inch. So I'll go ahead and label, this is my center back and this is my side back. I will also indicate this side as where I'll be putting my my zip. Remember that we didn't add any zip allowance here, so it is when I'm cutting the outfit that I'll be adding my zip allowance into the outfit. So let me indicate that this is the direction where the zip is going to be. So we are going to go ahead now and cut out our pattern. See, I've reached here. When I get here, I won't go up this way, I'll just go this way. Do you get? I'll leave my cup intact. This is how I'm going to go. So I'll also come here and cut this out, and then when I reach here, I'll go ahead and cut out the cup this way. This is the pattern. I'll go ahead and label this as the center front. This is our cup side, which will still slash, and then this is our side front. I will indicate that this is the down part, this is the down part. Do you understand? Then this arrow is going this way. I will indicate this one is joining here and this one is joining here. You can never go wrong with labeling your pattern. If you found this video helpful, as you are watching, please hit the like button. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Thumbs up this video, okay? And if there is any other video you would like for me to make for you, just leave it in the comment section and I will get to it. So before I cut this part, I'll take this up, this center line, this our nipple to nipple that is 4.5. I will take it up to reach the neckline here. Then I will now go ahead and cut out my dart. So guys, this is the back pattern. This is it. This is facing up, this is facing up, and then this is the front pattern. So I'll go ahead and keep these ones aside. Let us work on this particular one. So what we'll be doing now is to slash this open. Do you get? So I'll be marking this 1.5 space difference. Like I'm going to mark 1.5, 1.5, 1.5. So for 1.5 we'll have 3 inches, 4.5, and then 6 inches. I'll replicate the same thing here. 1.5, 3 inches, 4.5, and then 6 inches. Please, if you don't know how to do this mathematically, just do 1.5, mark, come back here and do 1.5, mark, do 1.5, mark, do 1.5, mark. Do you understand? So I'm going to replicate the same thing here again. 1.5, 3 inches, 4.5, and then 6. And then I will take my ruler and join everything together. And label it 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So I'll go ahead and slash this open. I'm done slashing this open. I'll give it the direction that is facing. This is facing this way, this is facing this way, this is facing this way, this is facing this way. I'm giving it arrow for direction.
So I'm going to proceed to get another pattern paper. I use cardboard. Then I'm going to divide it into two so I can use one of it for the slashing of my cup.
So I'm going to get the middle line of this pattern paper that I cut out here. Then I'm going to rule the lines together. Next thing I'll be doing is to get my slashed pattern. This is the first one, and I'll make sure that the bust line, this is my bust line, this one that is blue in color. Remember that I will cut this from the under bust length, so obviously the next line is going to be my bust line. I'll make sure that this bust line tallies well, like this bust line, this blue line is on the same line as the green line. So I'll go ahead and pin it down and secure it here. If you notice that this number one pattern, I didn't start from the beginning. I left some space here so that I can use that for your folding, like sewing allowance. So when I've carefully placed this my number one, I'll go ahead and leave a 3 inches distance from the number one. So I'll make sure that this coincides with this. Yep. So now you can see the difference, which is 3 inches. I'll go ahead and write the 3 inches here. Then I'll go again, the same thing, 3 inches. This is the mark. I'll take my number 3, making sure that my bust point coincides with the green line.
Then I'll pin everything together.
I'll do the same for the fourth one, guys. This is just the same thing you are going to do till you reach the full length. I don't want to fast forward this for beginners, so I'll take my time. I'll be showing you again. Let the bust line coincide with this line that is here, and then finally you are going to put the last pattern, which is the fifth one. This, make sure that the round bust coincide with each other. The pattern is not enough, so I need to add something there.
My pattern paper was not enough, so I'm going ahead to add some at that particular point that I need it.
So the point is coinciding. I'll now go ahead and pin it. So now that we are done doing this, I will now use my marker and trace these lines out. I'll just use like freehand. So now the next thing I'm going to do is to add 1/2 inch for my sewing allowance. Remember, I'm joining this part. This is under bust. I'll join this to the waist length. So you're also going to add sewing allowance here. But for me, for this my pattern, remember that when we are drafting it, I've already added my sewing allowance here, so I am good at this point. So I'll go ahead and add sewing allowance at this point. I'll be adding 050 sewing allowance for my sewing here. We'll also add 050 at this point too. I'll go ahead and cut this out. Front curve. So the next thing we're doing is get your center back so we can add our zip. So I'll place it here on this my pattern, on this cardboard paper that I've already thrown away. I forgot about it. And then I'll gum it here. So now I've done this, I'll go ahead and mark out 1 inch as my zip allowance. I'll mark my 1 inch, 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 and then I'll go ahead and connect everything. So I'll go ahead and cut this out. This is our zip allowance. So guys, this is our final pattern, the center front. This is our cup that contains this. And then this is our back pattern. I hope you found this video helpful. A part 2 of this tutorial is coming up and is on the cutting and sewing of this outfit. So if you want to see that, please subscribe to my channel, thumbs up this video, turn on your notification bell so that once I post, you'll be able to see that. If you also want to make an outfit with me, I'm going to leave my details in the description box and also at the end of this video. I'll see you guys in my next one. Bless.